Hi, I'm Renita Young, and we want to take you inside the mind of one of America's leading Fortune 50 executives. Daphne Jones has more than 30 years of experience in general management and executive roles at IBM, Johnson & Johnson, General Electric, and Hospira, which is now Pfizer. And she's also the author of the newly released book, Win When They Say You Won't, Break Through Barriers and Keep Leveling Up Your Success. Daphne, thank you so much for being here and welcome to TD Ameritrade Network.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here, and I am a fan of TD Ameritrade as well. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So you've got such an extensive background in the IT sector, and that's where I really want to start our conversation. So some recent reports, they paint a very pretty picture for the tech sector through the next few years. But we see these rising macro and geopolitical issues, several layoffs from huge tech companies, and not to mention China-related headwinds adding to the building pressure. How are you characterizing the sector right now?
The sector is, I would say, a leading indicator of things that are going awry. There's been an overexuberance of hiring. We have not been paying attention to what's been happening with China as much, or we haven't done as much as we could about it from a chipset technology manufacturing perspective and R&D. And so the tech sector is a leading indicator of what's happening with the general larger economy and the recession that's happening. But at the same time, as we could be bearish about it, I think we can also be bullish about it. Every company is looking to be a technology company or a digital company. And the way they're going to do that is by embracing continuous improvements on operational efficiencies, more customer intimacy, decision making that are much faster and more accurate. And that's going to happen, quite frankly, with the use of technology. So I think it's really a leading indicator of what's already happening in the market, but it's not going to last like this for long.
Do you think that puts the tech sector in a position of strength or weakness as we head into a possible recession?
Yeah, I think it's a position of weakness right now because of prices, layoffs are happening. The whole brand of companies are going to be maybe suffering a little bit. When you look at the layoffs of what's happening with the people who are on H-1B visas, they're going to be very, very challenged. I think they have to find a new job in 60 days, and I don't know if it's going to turn around in that period of time. So there's a brand weakness that could happen as well. And so, but I think, it won't last long. Just as markets go down, markets come back up.
The way that you approach business issues are the same ways that you approach cultural issues. And so you've been in this sector, of course, as we said, at the top for more than 30 years, going from secretary to C-suite executive. And so now you're sitting on the board of 3 multi-billion-dollar public corporations. Congratulations for that, by the way.
Thank you.
So I'm wondering now, along the way, you've encountered all of the issues that come along with being a woman of color in corporate America, in global companies. And I'm wondering now, before you get into the larger methodology, can you explain how you actually see these cultural issues as business issues?
Yeah, I believe, and it's something that I've said for a long time, is that the diversity of the input improves the quality of the output. And if we have the same old people talking about the same old things, doing things the same old way, we'll always get what we always got. And so the question that I think we can ask ourselves is, what must be true in order for us to be able to jump the curve and have a higher productivity, higher efficiency, higher market share, higher margins, right? Higher valuation. And I think having that diversity perspective and not looking at it as a social problem or as a fairness problem or as a parity issue, but rather as a business problem, then I think we will be able to solve a lot of issues. One day I want to wake up and not have DEI be a thing. I don't want there to be news about the Marlins getting a female president. I don't want that to be something that is really front page news. And when we start looking at diversity as more of a business problem that's going to help accelerate growth, then I think we'll see people start to measure it differently and measure it better than we currently do today. And having them look at it as a business problem takes the emotion and some of the subjectivity out of it as well.
And in your book, When They Say You Won't, Break Through Barriers and Keep Leveling Up Your Success, you outline your 4-step EDIT methodology on how to systematically win. Can you walk us through this?
So EDIT stands for envision, design, iterate, and transform. So when you are envisioning something, you're envisioning what it is that you want to be. You're envisioning, I want to be a better speaker. I want to learn how to swim. I want to become a senior vice president. I want to be something better than I currently am. And I want to stop just doing things all the time. And I want to become something different and better according to what I define as what winning is to me. Then your D is your design. Your design is what you start to do to prepare yourself to start walking in those shoes. You put together your objectives, and I help the people prioritize, and the reader prioritize those objectives so that we don't try to do 20 things. We try to do maybe 3 or 4 things, because it's one of the reasons why people fail is they get distracted, they get overwhelmed, and they can't focus and they can't finish. And so with your design, you actually design your plan, and it's risk adjusted. You say, what could go right with this plan? What could go wrong with this plan? And then you have a risk adjusted plan. Likewise, with I, that stands for iterate. And iterate means that you go back and forth from design to iterate, from design to iterate. I use my plan, I test my plan in the marketplace. How is my market receiving my plan? How is it receiving what I'm generating right now? If it's not that great, I go back to my plan, back to design, and I tweak something. I don't quit. I find a way to win. Transform is really the last step, and it is you pivot from that last step back into the envision if you'd like. But when you transform, you're not the same as you were when you started. You were a vice president, now you're a senior vice president. You didn't know how to swim, now you know how to swim. You have transformed from something that you weren't into something that you really wanted to be. And then you sit there for a moment and you learn more about what you've just transformed into. You do the job, you do the role, and then you transform it again to make it better than when you first found it. And so transformation is just a place where you appreciate where you are, look at lessons learned, and then get ready to decide what's your next envision going to be.
Right at the top of your book, you talk about that high schooler originally from the small town called Phoenix in Illinois, who was told by our guidance counselor that black girls like you, don't go to college. They become secretaries. But eventually you knew that was wrong. Where was the turning point for you, and what would you tell teenage Daphne today?
I would tell teenage Daphne that impossible is just not a fact, it's someone's opinion. And the new word for everyone to consider, including the teenage Daphne, is the new word is inevitable. It's just really a matter of time. If we have the right mindset, if we begin and then we never quit, then what we aspire to become is really inevitable and not impossible. And I knew that it was not for me when I was just lousy at being a secretary. He told me to become a secretary, which I did at Women's Day magazine. And what they were talking about in their offices didn't seem like rocket science to me. They weren't speaking Greek. I said, boy, I can do that. In fact, I should not be a secretary. I should have a secretary. And when I said that, that was a turning point for me where I said, I'm going to call my own plays as much as I possibly can. I will always have a boss, but I'm going to define what winning really looks like for me and not have somebody who doesn't know me and may not really care about me set that narrative for me. And that was a turning point, and that I then went on to college, and the rest is her story, as they say.
The rest is her story. I think that's a beautiful place to leave it. Daphne Jones, When They Say You Won't, break through barriers and keep leveling up your success. Congratulations on the book release, and much success to you as you build out from this.
Thank you very much.